remember when I was trying to clear my life up, get my life back, and separate from a relationship, it was brought up in a counseling session that this person would probably bring up the fact that I was a cutter in order to damage my case against him. And I couldn't believe him. Like, no one would ever do that. No way. Me cutting has nothing to do with who I am as a person, and has everything to do with what I was going through and what I had no control over. And what had happened was, it did happen. He and his parents had a document written up that was a bunch of questions about my mental stability. And because I knew that it would probably happen, because it was a desperate move to try to just upend everything all the good case that I had against him, I knew it was coming because, I was warned. And so it came, and even he was embarrassed and appalled that it was even brought up. And so I looked at him right in the eyes and said, "You know that this is bullshit, right? You know that this is a desperate attempt to try to dismantle me. And it's not going to work. It's not going to work." And it didn't work. And, I have to admit that, I'm not admitting any fault, but just a couple of years ago, I went through one last cutting session, and it was very much similar to what I was going through as a kid. And so the trauma that I went through as a child is always still there. And when I was going through this breakup, and over the years, before the breakup was even on the table, I would be punished by ignoring. And being punished by ignoring is the same as having your caregiver forget who you are. And so for me, being ignored is a trigger. It's traumatizing. It sends me right back to when I was a kid. And when we were going through this breakup, I was ignored. It was an abuse tactic. And at one point during this time, I don't know, it was maybe 3 years ago now, maybe 2.5, that I just couldn't take it. I couldn't take being ignored. I was walking around in my own house like I didn't exist. Again, like a ghost. And it took me right back to those days where I had no one to turn to, no one to hear me. And the person that I loved the most, even though we were going through a breakup, this is the person that I trusted and I loved the most, was ignoring me. And it hurt so bad. It hurt so bad. And so I did what I was trained myself to do when I was a kid in order to deal with it, was to take that emotional pain that is like, it kind of floats around, right? It's like a cloud in the sky. And to take that ephemeral pain that floated around and I couldn't chase down and capture, and I etched it into my arm. I didn't etch it. I dug in, and it was the last and final X that I placed upon my body. And you can see the scar when you look at pictures of me on stage. And there was one time I was up on stage where I had it covered with a temporary tattoo. Because for months and months, that scar tissue just burned red and was raised. Because it couldn't heal because the wound was so wide. But that was the last time. And now I recognize why I did it. I recognize now why it doesn't need to be done. But I also recognize that it's always within me and that it's always going to be a demon that I will have to fend off. And if it helps to expose it, which I've never done before, then here I am doing that. And we'll see if it works, right? This is an experiment. Welcome to the experiment. So there it is. That's 21 minutes of me talking. And again, trying to keep it short here, unsuccessfully. But yeah, there it is. I have nothing else to say about it right now. And if you have any questions, I'm always here to listen. And if you're listening to this and I'm dead, please make a beautiful movie out of my life. I'll thank you.